What is up everyone, Base Diluc here. Since today is Albedo's last day on Raid Up, I decided to give you guys my final thoughts on his kit and give some insight about what gear you should run on him to get the most out of his skills. I will also show some tips on how to maximize your efficiency and will showcase units that synergize as well with him. So let's just get into it. Alright, so we are here with my level 90 Albedo. At first glance, as you can see, he has 2100 defense. This is quite a lot, and you may be wondering why I'm stacking so much defense, and this is tied directly to the way I'm using him. The way I'm using him is that he's not in the field, and he provides damage every 2 seconds, and that's through his E. His E skill, Abiogenesis Solar Isotoma, I got it this time, generates transient blossoms every 2 seconds, and those solely scales off of defense. So if you want your Albedo to be a low investment unit, focus on your defense. Stack it up as much as you can. The ultimate, however, scales off of attack, unless you have Constellation too, but I'll come back to that later. Now onto the weapon. The weapon I use is also tied directly to the way I'm going to be playing him. Since he's not on the field, he is easy to maintain above 90%, as long as you have a good healer that is not Bennett. Bennett cannot heal above 70%. So the passive is actually when your HP is above 90% and increases your crit rate by 28%. Also, on top of that, you get 46.9% crit damage at level 90. It's a 3-star weapon, easy to refine. I think this is a win as a best in slot. Other alternatives would be the Festering Desire because of its passive that brings you crit rate and elemental skill damage, and maybe the Prototype Randcord for free-to-play players that didn't really pay attention to the event. Now let's take a look at my artifacts. So as the set bonus, I would strongly recommend having at least 2-piece Spectra. This is the bare minimum you should have. On top of that, you can add 2-piece Noblesse Oblige or 2-piece Defender's Will. In terms of main stats, I have a Defense Send, a Geo Damage Bonus Goblet, and a Defense Circlet. You should run a crit rate circlet if you have below 50% crit rate, in my opinion. You can also run a crit damage circlet, but I think defense gives you much more consistent damage. Here, as you can see, I have crit damage in the substats. This is what you want to focus on in the substats: crit rate and crit damage. Also, defense percent if you can. Energy recharge is fine. Elemental mastery is not really needed. HP flat, I mean, it's there, but you know, crit rate and crit damage are the ones you want to put your investment into. Here, defense percent, crit damage. You get the gist of it. So on top of it all, right, you have the Harbinger of Dawn that will bring you crit rate and crit damage, and that's without any resonance. So here in total, I have 62.6% crit rate and 174.5 crit damage. This is quite a good ratio. I would benefit from more crit rate, obviously, so that's why I'm always perfecting my build. I also have 90% Geo Damage bonus because the Cup gives you Geo Damage bonus and his Ascension gives you Geo Damage bonus. Okay, so last but not least, we'll go through the Ascension passive first and then the Constellations. So Calcite Might, the first Ascension passive, gives you 25% more damage if the opponent has 50% or less HP. And the Homuncular Nature gives you 125 Elemental Mastery once you cast your Q. This is making him into a top tier support in my opinion, and you should definitely use this to your advantage if you're running Elemental Reaction team comps. As for the Constellations, as you can see, I got lucky and I got C2. If you want to watch my summons, I strongly recommend watching my previous video because it's pretty insane. The C1 gives you more energy. C2, I'll come back to that later. C3 gives you talent levels on your E. C4 gives you plunging damage within the AoE of your Solar Isotoma. The 5th Constellation gives you talent level on your Q. And the last Constellation gives you 17% damage once you pick up crystallized shards created by your E. Now, C2, why I wanted to keep that for the last one, because I think it's the best, right? It's the best Constellation for him, especially if you go for a defense build like I'm doing. because you'll get up to 120% defense on top of your ultimate damage. And this is really good because it procs up to 7 times in the array and it does AoE damage. So you'll see what I mean once you see the gameplay, but it is really consistent and it does bring more synergy between both of his talents. So now let's look at the gameplay. I'll show you guys some team comps, I'll show you guys some tips, and I hope you enjoy. Here we are in game. I'm gonna show you guys, before we get into the gameplay with team comps, I'll show you guys the technique that I use with Albedo to pump out much more damage. So when you actually cast your E, you can instantly proc a blossom every time, but then as you can see, it takes 2 seconds to proc the next one. So here I hit, and then 2 seconds later I get it. In order to reset that internal cooldown, you can place your E and tap again. And so like this, you can do so much damage, but I mean a lot of damage back to back to back. And you can mix in the ultimate as well in this. While your E is on cooldown, you can use your ultimate. So basically the tip here is hit the enemy before placing your E again, because you'll get much more damage out of it. In terms of team comps, Albedo will strongly benefit from having a healer in this build. So this is a mandatory thing for all of you guys that use this build. Please bring a healer to keep yourself above 90%. You can use Barbara, you can use Jean, Chi-Chi, Diona, anyone that heals above 90%. Also, something to keep in mind is that Albedo only benefits from one elemental resonance, and it's the Geo resonance that gives a 15% damage boost when you are protected by a shield. However, this is getting buffed in 1.3 and it's gonna bring a resonance shred of 20%, which will make it even stronger, and I cannot wait to showcase that to you guys. In terms of units to pair him with, I would go for Zhongli in priority or Ningguang, because they both bring a lot to his kit. Zhongli will bring the pulsating pillar and pulsating geo construct, which works with his E by the way, and Ningguang will bring geo damage bonus through her Jade Shield and very strong basic attacks to pair with the transient blossoms. Other units that are good with them are any main DPS paired with any elemental reactor. My best example would be a Diluc Jingsho duo that you boost up with his elemental mastery buff, and you amplify their damage consistently with his E. So I think it's a win-win to have Albedo on a team like that, and you can take down bosses, you can take down domains, you can do whatever content you want, and you will always bring something to your team. So that's about it for my guide on Albedo. If you guys want to know more about Albedo, please let me know in the comments. I could make multiple videos about this character since he's so good. I'm definitely going to make a video about this 1.3 team comp that is going to destroy everything. That includes Zhongli, Ningguang, Albedo. Any Geo character will be a beast within this team comp. Now on that note, I'll leave you guys with more gameplay, so enjoy that and see you guys later. Peace out.